Hi guys, welcome to my review of the SGOR Venus. I don't know if that's how I should pronounce it. Let me just kind of bring it in. There we go. SGOR. Maybe somebody can tell me how to pronounce this. Anyway, it's the Venus. It's a single DD. Package is what you see is basically the same as the offerings from KZ. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually is made by KZ, since KZ does a lot of stuff for other manufacturers or for other brands. In terms of the specs, very normal specs to be encountered now with 32 ohm impedance. The curve that they say is this, what I measured is not exactly this, but anyway, it's another proposal. In terms of the IEMs, I actually got two. I got the black one and I got this silver one. In terms of the IEM itself, it's a very good looking IEM. I mean, considering that it costs $20, so it enters this ultra low budget price bracket. It's actually very nicely built. It's got a shell which is very reminiscent of the KZ EDA balanced and base and high resolution series. So it's got a shell very similar to that. Obviously different faceplate. It's got this feature which is for let's say sort of a vent for the back of the driver. Nice. It's done with taste. It's done with a certain amount of quality. In terms of sound, I didn't really see any changes by covering that hole up or not. I really didn't perceive any differences. I'm of course not using the standard cable. I'm using an XINHS 16 core cable. Very nice one actually, by the way. 2-pin connector. Fit is perfect. I've got actually absolutely no issues with the fit, no issues with isolation. Using KBE 07 tips, as was my promise to you guys, that I would be trying some different tips from now on all my IEMs, so as to not come into the same mistake or fall into the same mistake as I did with the MT3. I tried a few different tips and sizes, and the ones that I ended up liking the most is these wide bores. The narrow bore tips have the tendency of closing, making the high end more peaky, and this really gave her a nice extension and presentation, and yeah, I mean, very unoffensive sounding. Let's put it that way. I'm not gonna be spending a lot of time with this IEM, to be honest, because the moment I put it on my ears and I started listening to it, the IEM that came straight to mind was the KZ EDA balanced. And when I show you the graphs in a couple of minutes, you'll see what I mean. The signature is almost the same as the KZ EDA balanced, and by that I mean it's got the same kind of bass. It's nice, it's full, it's reasonably fast. It's not a sluggish bass. It's got good detail. Maybe just an extra 1 or 2 dBs in the mid bass here as opposed to here, but I mean, it could be just down to driver variance. So just like the EDA balanced, we are given, or we're presented with a very nice bass. It goes, marries nicely into the mids. Vocals, male, female, are unoffensive. What it does have, compared to the EDA, is a little bit more extension. Although the curve is kind of very similar, it is a little bit more energetic. I would say as much as maybe 5 dBs, and you do pick up on it. But overall, the sound is very equal to the KZ EDA balanced, and as I said, nice bass, mids. In terms of the technicalities, decent enough soundstage. Imaging, maybe not the greatest in the world. Detailed retrieval as well is pretty decent. Actually slightly better here than on the EDA, but the differences are minimal. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is exactly the same thing as the EDA, just with a different faceplate, to be totally transparent with you guys. So I compared it with the EDA balance. I compared it with the EDA with the EDX-Ultra, which again, a lot of similarities. The biggest differences are then above 5K. where this one is way more polished. Okay, and I compared it as well with the KZ HBB QKZ, sorry, HBB collab, the AK6 Zeus, and again the similarities between these two is quite uncanny. I mean, yes, this does have a more plateaued kind of response above 1K after the pin. Again, that one there, the Venus has a tendency of still being a little bit more peaky, or having a rise towards that 5K peak, which you don't encounter here. But it's not something which in any way I found offensive. And actually, while this one sounds good and it sounds amazing, I mean the HBB does sound really good, but it does have a tendency of maybe sounding a little bit dark and closed down, and not as detailed and sparkly and full of all the twinklies and so on, like I usually call as on the Ultra. The truth is, it plays well, and the Venus has all of that plus just a little bit more of detail that you don't find in the QKZ HBB. And then the other IEM which I decided to compare it to, and I just didn't bring out the SoundNotes 7Hz Zero, because the difference is really tremendous in terms of the sound. I mean, the sound with the MT3, or the comparison with the MT3, is based solely on the fact that this can also be quite engaging and quite fun. If you find the right tips and you are able to insert it nice and deep into your ear, you'll be very, very satisfied with what you will listen. It's a great sounding IEM. Honestly, TRN really did a good job here. So, not wanting to say or to, oh, this is better than that. No, this is basically a KZ EDA, or a little bit less similar than the EDX-Ultra, but this is basically a KZ EDA. It has the same basic flaws, same basic positive points about it, and compared to the two outliers here, the two really different ones, because they are from different brands, compared to the MT3. The MT3 is a more polished up signature. It's got a little bit more detail, a little bit more of maturity. You can feel it. And compared to the QKZ, the HBB, the similarity is very equal. I mean, they trade blows. They really trade blows. The one that will really be the more different one in terms of the overall tuning is the MT3. These three plus the Venus, they all trade blows. Technically as well, like I said, and I usually say, I mean, yeah, fine. It's good to know that we have some technical abilities, and that there are some technicalities or characteristics that these IEMs are able to reproduce faithfully, but we're talking $20, so let's not be too demanding. I mean, tonality and timbre for the most is fine. Because of that thickish bass, it can sometimes just overdo things a little bit, but nothing offensive. The same thing applies to the mids. And I think tonality and timbre are probably the two characteristics that stand out in the Venus, and they kind of make you feel like you're listening, or that you got a similar, and that's the truth. They've got a very similar vibe as the EDA Balanced and the QKZ. In terms of like soundstage, imaging and detailed retrieval, I would say very much on par again. I mean, not huge differences. I would say perhaps soundstage a little bit, just a little bit closed in as compared to the other two, but honestly, guys, it's like I say, it's the differences here are minimal. I think it's more important to take into consideration that they were actually able to offer a nice looking IEM that's very well, very well built, and costs $20, and it plays really nice. It does. It genuinely plays very, very nice. There's really nothing that I can point to it as a negative. Anyway, guys, that's basically my take on the Venus. There's really not much more to say. I'll just show you a few graphs, and then you guys can decide what you want to do. All right, you take care now. Bye bye. Hi guys, and welcome to the graph section of the review for the SGOR Venus. This is the graph of the SGOR Venus. As you can see, completely different to what they gave us from factory. Full sub bass. It's got some bleed into the mids, but nothing too dramatic. smooth gain, and then an emphasis on this area here of 5, 6, 7K, which I'm assuming is an emphasis that provoked more by the actual shell and the way that the shell interacts with the driver than actually the driver itself. Excuse me. This is what I'm going to show you now. This is the the EDA balanced compared to it, and as you can see, very, very equal. I mean, apart from this area here, okay, which there's a dip here on the EDA as compared to the SGOR, the similarities between these two are just, I mean, that's why I even said that perhaps it's even the same driver. You could even say that this is just driver variance from one to another, and not really differences in tuning. This is a difference here, but even it's so similar. It's not even funny. The next one I'm going to show you is the Ultra, the EDX-Ultra, and that again very similar, very similar. The difference being only in this area, and even here the similarities are quite pronounced. I mean, even more so than with the EDA. As you can see, it's just this area here that on the Venus is just pronounced or just manifested in a different manner, as compared to the QKZ. Here we go again. Very big similarities, a little bit extra sub bass on the QKZ, but nothing, and everything, the way that it comes down to the mid bass and low mids, rises, everything exactly the same, just that over here then it's a difference. And even this way that it does this similarity past 10K is equal. I mean, it's actually quite interesting to see how the EDX-Ultra and the EDA, how they all, if I actually take away the Venus, it's actually quite interesting to see how these three are so similar. And this is this reason here, particularly in this area here, this is why I say that I actually would take the Ultra over the QKZ, the HBB, because it's got a significant amount more energy here that just makes it have more air. Okay, if I just take away, for example, you see, not much difference here. The little bit extra bass that the QKZ has, it's not noticeable. I mean, it's just that extra amount of energy up top which really makes the difference. And finally, comparing the Venus with the MT3. Yes, there's a little bit less mid bass impact, you notice it, but then even this whole area is very similar, and you do notice the MT3 has got more air. It's got a bigger sense of soundstage. That definitely is something that was well obtained by TRN, and there's a reason why the TRN, the MT3 is gathering a certain amount of momentum now, because using the right tips, it is a fantastic IEM. Anyway, guys, this is just my little take here on the graph so that you guys could have an idea. Again, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask. And and don't forget to go and check out Hi-Fi Go, Linsol, as the two main, I would say, online stores where you can obtain some of the stuff that I've mentioned. And then there's also a couple of AliExpress stores which I think are worthwhile, and they show their seriousness. Yao Tiger is one of them, Angel Ears is another, and Wu Easy. Those three stores, with the occasional issues that might occur, you can't always please everybody. Those three stores, I think, are the ones that are go-to stores. And that's it, guys. Take care.